I'm in the game still rapping at a high capacity. If Nas wants to smoke, come in the booth. I will rap
He don't want
circles
no
around.
smoke. He enjoying that 150 million, 200 million he done
Okay
made.
then, so then leave me alone while I'm on the field.
You was effing with him. He wasn't bothering you.
They don't really know who Nas is. If he's 22, he's born in 03.
Not all of them, some of them though.
Jim Jones was never better than Nas. Jim Jones will never be better than Nas. And this is coming from somebody that's not a Nas fan. I love Dipset. I love the Diplomats. I love Bird Game. But we not about to start rewriting history because Jim Jones got confidence.
Welcome back to Fame Flux, where the truth behind fame gets exposed. 50 Cent is on a rampage after Jim Jones made what many are calling a bold and disrespectful comment about Nas during his recent appearance on Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharpe. Jones questioned Nas's impact in today's rap scene, suggesting that the legendary MC isn't relevant anymore.
I never got to see Nas. I never got to sit down and have a conversation with Nas and things like that. I had called you about it and things like that. That was like still one of the people that I never got to have a conversation throughout my history of rap and things like that. I think I would love to have a conversation with Nas. I wouldn't know if he knows it, but Nas was one of my all-time favorite rappers coming up and things like that.
I've heard you say that.
Since the barbecue and things like that. Like he really put the whole dope boy rap, crack hustler, get fresh rap into perspective before anybody else.
And doesn't move the culture like newer artists do. That was all it took for 50 to fire back, hard. In a savage Instagram post, followed by a fiery live rant, 50 Cent called out Jim Jones for disrespecting a legend who paved the way.
I recently saw a clip on Instagram where a young kid was comparing you to Nas and saying that you got
that's my young boy.
Big hits.
He's wild.
Yo, he looked to you. He learned how to wear the BB Simon belt from you. He got his swag. Like, how crazy is that? Because in my era, you know what I'm saying? Nas is like a god.
In my era too.
He accused Jones of clout chasing and undermining true lyricism to stay in the headlines. Nas is hip-hop royalty, 50 said. You don't speak on that man unless it's respect. Period. The backlash was immediate.
All right, Nas. But remember, Nas' first record, The Barbecue, came out when I was in 11th grade. Yes. So Nas was my idol when I was young. Like you did, came to dressing, the wordplay, the music, everything. I was a superior Nas fan. Period. I'd never take that away from him. But then as I got in the game, you got to realize that your rivals would be idols, and not to take anything away from that. I developed my own style and my own lane that these kids start to gravitate towards the same way I gravitated towards Nas when I was younger and things like that. It's a whole different generation.
Fans flooded Jones's comments, demanding an apology, while other artists started picking sides. For 50, who's always championed Nas's place in the culture, this was more than personal.
I came into light and started going crazy that these kids love me. They don't really know who Nas is. If he's 22, he's born in 03.
Not all of them, some of them though. But
you know what I mean?
A lot of them though.
It was about defending the legacy of one of rap's most respected figures. As the drama continues to heat up, one thing is clear. 50 Cent isn't letting this slide. Jim Jones might have just added himself to the growing list of names 50 plans to humble.
No, me, Jim Jones. No diplomats, no nobody else. Me, Jim Jones. Check my track record, then check everybody else's track record. Then go to the billboards and check all my entries, then check all them entries and shit. And I'm not taking nothing away from nobody, but I hear the comparisons and then be trying to act funny when it comes. No, I've been spanking a lot of this shit about the industry. I've been putting on.
Publicly and brutally. Jim Jones appeared on Shannon Sharpe's podcast and boldly claimed he's more influential than Nas. Not just more relevant, but more important to the culture overall. The moment that statement aired, the energy across the hip-hop scene shifted dramatically. 50 Cent didn't respond with a typical post or diss. Instead, he quietly uploaded a federal transcript from a past investigation to Instagram, letting fans and industry insiders connect the dots themselves.
Can I ask you a question, Jim?
Mm-hmm.
You smoke, right?
Yeah.
Were you smoking when you said you better than Nas?
I might have been a little bit.
Suddenly, wiretap audio began resurfacing, and old clips started making rounds again. Meanwhile, Jim Jones was spotted in the gym, talking about diss tracks, posturing like he's readying himself for a battle at Rikers. But this situation isn't just about Nas. And it's far from being only about ego. This feels like 50 Cent issuing a subtle but powerful reminder to the music industry, showing exactly why he's considered untouchable and hinting at how certain individuals have repeatedly sidestepped major indictments. Jim may have intended to make a point about influence, but what he may have done is ignite a deeper and far more dangerous conversation. There's a reason why any mention of Nas by Jim Jones hits differently. And that's because their unresolved tension runs deeper than most remember. This goes back over 2 decades. The rift began in 2002 when Nas took to Hot 97 in a surprise radio rant. In that moment, he unexpectedly called out Cameron, labeling his album whack with no clear reason or explanation, stirring conflict that never truly died down. That single radio moment was all it took to push Dipset into retaliation mode, with Jim Jones diving in immediately and aggressively. From that point forward, things escalated quickly. Nas and Dipset began exchanging verbal jabs through mixtapes, interviews, and public appearances.
I'm way more influential than Nas, and I don't care what nobody say. I know I made a little boo-boo when you talk about the sales and all this type of shit. I don't feel like getting into that rhetoric about where I started and where he started.
Well, you said that
but listen, Nas was nice when I was in high school. When I was in 10th grade, Nas came out. Nas was dope. We appreciated him. He had a little bit run.
But Jim made it personal. He publicly threatened to knock the kufi off Nas's head and followed through with that same antagonistic tone in tracks like We Fly High. However, this feud evolved beyond music. What makes it more complex is that Jim Jones once held genuine respect for Nas. Just a year ago, he was speaking positively about him. That admiration quickly turned into criticism. Everything shifted during Jim's appearance on Fat Joe and Jadakiss's podcast, where Fat Joe stirred the conversation with a pointed question about relevance. Jim didn't dodge the bait, he leaned in. That podcast could have been just another soundbite lost to the internet, but Jim made sure it wasn't. He doubled down, openly inviting more discussion, fueling the narrative instead of diffusing it. Then came the moment that ignited the controversy even further. Jim Jones didn't just claim to be more relevant. He escalated it by calling himself more influential than Nas, one of hip-hop's most respected and enduring figures. That statement alone instantly reverberated through the culture and got fans, critics, and rappers alike weighing in.
But Nas always came up second to Jay and DMX and all these other people. Like,
Ain't no shame in that. There a lot of mofos came up second to Tom Brady.
He never had that type of influence on us, except for his first album. I already told you, I used to want to dress like Nas because he had a lot of fresh clothes that the hustlers used to wear, and we used to see him on TV. He had one of the illest albums of all time. And then in high school when he had the barbecue and shit like that. So I'm a real fan of Nas, but he kind of lost me after the movie Belly and shit like.
Nas, the Queensbridge legend, the man behind Illmatic, God's Son, and King's Disease, and an artist who still sells out Madison Square Garden deep into his 50s, was the target. And yet, Jim Jones didn't flinch. He didn't soften his words. He doubled down without hesitation, with full conviction. That first interview didn't just stir the pot. It flipped it over, lit it on fire, and turned it into a cultural flashpoint. Before the conversation could settle, Jim reappeared, this time on another high-profile platform. He showed up on Nightcap with Shannon Sharpe and Chad Ochocinco Johnson, ready to defend and expand on his earlier claims. Shannon Sharpe didn't let things slide. He opened the segment with a direct, probing challenge that had audiences leaning in, but what Jim said next made fans hit pause. Not only did he reaffirm his stance, he raised the stakes, saying that in terms of cultural weight and relevance, Nas had fallen behind. Then, just when the conversation seemed to reach its peak, Jim dropped another bomb. He pivoted to the old Dipset versus Nas beef from the early 2000s.
Bro, you been in this thing, but lyrically, I'm gonna keep it a stack with you.
Yeah,
y'all
but look how you
with
dress.
Nas.
Look how you dress. You don't even be in the same places I be in. And the
But
things
I-
that we, listen to
I
me,
can be in the church house. You can't F with Nas lyrics. I don't know who told you that. Now look, y'all know you on that good stuff, but you not seeing Nas.
He claimed to be a bigger Nas fan than anyone, yet argued he had now eclipsed him in cultural impact. Jim praised Nas's fashion sense, calling him one of the flyest to ever do it, but kept circling back to one assertion. Nas doesn't influence the streets like Jim does. According to Jim, street influence, not accolades or albums, is what truly defines hip-hop legacy today. And he's not letting that claim go uncontested. Seeing Nas get praised clearly struck a nerve, and Jim Jones was visibly bothered. He got so salty mid-conversation that he started clowning Shannon Sharpe over his outfit, using fashion digs as a deflection tactic. The energy in the room shifted fast. Meanwhile, Chad Ochocinco just sat back quietly, observing the chaos unfold as Shannon and Jim traded verbal jabs. The conversation started as commentary on hip-hop influence, but was now veering dangerously close to a full-blown personal feud. Then came the escalation. Jim accused Shannon of bringing him on the show just to boost views. That accusation made Shannon explode. With full conviction, Shannon fired back, "This the biggest podcast you ever been on." A reminder of who really held weight in that space.
You got a bunch of 40 and 50-year-olds in their panties because I said I'm better than
It don't
Nas.
matter.
Look at you. Look at you.
Nobody,
Ain't
nobody from Dipset gonna take you over Nas. Nobody from the Diplomats but you.
That's
Hey, I got hold on, Jim. Hold on.
That shirt too tight.
Hold on.
That
Jim.
You want to go back to I really mean it? I really mean it started. We could go back to the history, bro.
For you to even
do
say that,
bro.
But Shannon wasn't finished. The tone flipped instantly. From podcast host to sparring opponent, Shannon Sharpe made it clear. If Jim wanted heat, he'd get it. When Jim claimed he was better than Nas, Shannon didn't just challenge his lyrical credentials, he took it further.
I'm still playing at a high level. You better check my record, you heard? I'm still playing at a high level. I'm rapping at a high level. You better check my stats, bro. I will run circles around Nas rapping right. I will run circles around Nas rapping right now. Right now, I will run Saturn around Nas right now rapping.
He went after Jim's bravado in a different lane.
Hey, this the biggest podcast you ever been on. Do you know what podcast you been on bigger than this one?
Hold on. We off topic.
I'm not a podcaster.
No.
This is what I do. You see
Name
you
a
in
podcast you been on
your
bigger than this one.
feelings?
When you get big, you get invited to Club Shay Shay.
This is what I do.
Nas get invited to Club Shay Shay.
His fitness. Shannon, a former NFL tight end and gym enthusiast, said if Jim thought he was really the man, they could settle it with reps, not just raps. Jim tried to spin the whole tension into a gym flex, hoping to prove he still had dominance in a space outside music.
You gotta start buying baggy your clothes, big fella. You too big, man.
You talk about you in the gym. Now you want to get me? You want me to see me in the gym?
Oh, we can do
Since
that.
You like to talk that ish. Now come see me in the gym.
We talking about working out. We talking about working out or strength. What we talking about? Working out or strength?
Work however you want to do it.
We talking about
since you got money.
And we talking about
put your money where your mouth is.
So you talking about working out? I burn you. You talking about working out? I burn you. You talking about working out or strength? Because you probably can lift a lot more than me.
Whatever.
You're bigger than me. You're probably stronger than me.
Whatever.
But if you talk about working out, I burn you.
This ain't what you do. This ain't what you want. You are doing good when you talk about Nas and Jada. You don't want to see this.
But as he stayed caught up in lifting challenges and social media antics, 50 Cent had already made his move, quietly but effectively, by resurrecting one critical piece of evidence, that federal informant label, now looming larger than ever. Meanwhile, the comment sections across social media were in chaos. The audience was losing it, reacting to every moment. The internet couldn't get enough of the fact that a retired NFL Hall of Famer like Shannon Sharpe was now defending Nas, a hip-hop legend with more energy than most rappers. One viral comment summed it up best. Shannon did what Fat Joe and Jada should have done. Jones, you delusional. Shannon, thank you for bringing it up. That hit hard because many were wondering, why did Fat Joe and Jadakiss sit silent during that interview? Why didn't anyone check Jim in real time? While that debate was exploding online, 50 Cent had been watching the entire circus unfold from a distance.
When it got, honestly, I can't, if it was like Jim Jones, imagine putting a pen to paper to write about him. He was so nice. He was so nice about him. How did you do that? What's the first sentence? What the fuck do you write about him? I'm not anxious to hear the Jim Jones diss record. I'm like, yo, He used to have a little nervous was like B.I.G., Pac.
Right.
Even Cannabis, like Eminem, he used to have you like, if we go at it, dog, we gotta go hard. You know what I'm saying? But these Jim Jones, like, I mean, I respect you getting your money. You're like, exactly, right?
Silent and focused. He wasn't jumping in with memes or clown emojis yet. But right when the audience thought this moment was just another hilarious industry headline, things turned seriously petty. That's when fans unearthed a throwback clip, pure gold. It showed Jim Jones trying to take shots at Nas during a performance years ago, only to be completely ignored by Nas himself. Not only ignored, laughed off the stage. That video, now resurfacing in 2025, reignited the entire dynamic. That same dismissive energy from years ago had returned, stronger than ever. And just like before, Jim was trying to punch up in a fight he never got invited to. But the disrespect this time felt deeper, because the internet doesn't forget. And now the receipts were front and center again. While Nas remained silent, focusing on his legacy and avoiding the drama, and Shannon hit the gym to back up his words with muscle, there was still another player moving pieces behind the scenes. 50 Cent, after hearing Jim claim he was better than Nas, didn't flinch. No memes, no tweets, just laughter, because he knew exactly what he was about to do next. 50 Cent dove deep into his vault of receipts and pulled out one of the coldest reminders in hip-hop history. Just when the noise around Jim's better than Nas claim was peaking, 50 didn't argue. He just posted a cryptic caption referring to Jim as Individual One. It was surgical. That single phrase set the internet on fire. It wasn't just petty, it was pointed. Anyone who remembered the 2018 Tekashi 6ix9ine trial instantly caught the reference. Individual One wasn't just a nickname. It was a coded federal tag pulled straight from a wiretap transcript that surfaced during the explosive 9 Trey Bloods case. In that courtroom, prosecutors played an audio recording said to involve a conversation about punishing Tekashi for cooperating with law enforcement.
And now in Texas, please, whatever you do, don't tell them I'm in San Antonio. Don't tell them I'm staying at the Four Seasons. Don't tell them, please, don't tell them, man, because it's just so much pressure on me right now. I don't know what to do.
The individual giving the alleged order to violate Tekashi was never officially named in court, but was repeatedly referred to as Individual One. The voice was never legally confirmed as Jim's, and no charges were filed. Still, whispers never stopped. The blogs ran with it. The streets remembered. And 50? He never forgot. Now, with Jim trying to dominate headlines and challenge Nas's legacy, 50 saw the perfect window to strike. He didn't need a diss track, just a repost of an old meme, one that had been quickly deleted back in the day, but now resurfaced for maximum effect. The meme read, "So that's why they ain't pull him in? Say it ain't so, Jimmy." With that, speculation flooded back to the surface. This wasn't just a beef, it was a reminder that some things don't go away, no matter how many years pass. Back in 2019, the Shade Room had shared a courtroom update. A verified journalist confirmed that Tekashi, under oath, had named Jim Jones as a member of the 9 Trey set. That moment was already controversial, but 50's reaction made it unforgettable. It was followed by a now viral video of 50 jokingly reacting to the situation, wide-eyed, looking stunned, and completely in disbelief. But it wasn't fear. It was calculated commentary, because 50's not just a rapper, he's a master strategist. And this move showed that even old rumors can become new weapons when used at the right moment. 50's post wasn't subtle. He literally wrote, "I'm afraid for my life. I mean, Jimmy is gang gang." That caption alone had the internet howling. The memes poured in, fans laughed nonstop, but behind the scenes, the energy shifted. Jim wasn't amused, he was on edge, and things were just beginning, because this wasn't just about Nas.
Yeah, Jimmy boy, you should have never brought this up. Y'all are only 3 years apart, and Nas is just like murdering you. You asked us to look up the stats, and here they are. Like Jim Jones, like you got a couple songs. I mean, like literally, it's a couple. But we're talking about Nas. Let me show y'all Nas's last projects. Nas been getting it in since 2018. Jimmy, when the last time you put out an album? Oh, would you look at that? You have been dropping music. You've really been dropping music. But nobody's heard it. Nobody's listening, bro.
This was a long simmering grudge. 50 didn't start the fire with Nas. He simply used it as the spark to reignite an older conflict. Jim had already been on his radar. The Nas comment, that was the green light 50 needed to unload years of strategic petty. Let's rewind to 2007. 50 made waves when he brought Jim Jones and Juelz Santana out during a G-Unit show. At the exact moment Dipset was crumbling from within. The group's internal fractures were growing, and 50's move was seen by Cameron as the ultimate slight. It wasn't just an invite, it was a public declaration of leverage. Tensions only grew when the federal case against Tekashi 6ix9ine exploded in 2019. During that trial, prosecutors played a wiretapped call that featured a voice they claimed belonged to Jim Jones, though he wasn't named outright. Instead, they referred to the voice as Individual One, a code name that instantly became legend. Even without formal charges, the streets clung to the label. Memes exploded, speculation ran rampant, snitching rumors never went away, and 50? He made sure to keep the pressure on whenever the timing felt right. Now in 2025, after Jim's comments about Nas, 50 went all in again. He didn't need confirmation. He had what he needed: history, headlines, and just enough doubt to stir up chaos. Jim saw it all. Every single post, meme, and caption. And for a moment, he tried to take the high road. He posted an iconic throwback photo from the Bird Gang days, dripping in nostalgia, Harlem pride, and Dipset bravado. His caption, "Why you keep lying." But by then, the story had already caught fire, and 50 wasn't done pressing. We outside in the field. Take that as you may, but this isn't just talk. This is daily movement. Jim Jones keeps pushing, keeps baiting, keeps yelling that he's more influential than Nas. But the wildest part? Nas hasn't said a single word. Pure silence. A silence that's making more noise than Jim's shouting. And that's what has fans watching every move. If Nas ever did respond, it wouldn't just be a diss. It'd be a surgical strike. A lyrical execution that ends careers, not arguments. Meanwhile, Jim's still flexing, still throwing challenges, still daring anyone to match his energy in the gym or in the booth. But all that talk might have just walked him into something bigger than music. Because in the shadows, 50 Cent is staying quiet. And if history tells us anything, when 50 goes silent, that's when it's already too late. That's when the bomb drops. Fans are now asking the real question. If that unreleased wiretap does exist, and if Jim keeps talking, will 50 leak it and let the streets finish what Jim started? At this point, the only thing louder than Jim's taunts is Nas's silence and the quiet buildup of something major behind the scenes. Will Nas step in and shut this down with a verse? Or will 50 Cent let the courtroom paperwork speak louder than bars ever could? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, this story's not over. If you're following the real drama behind the music, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. This one's only getting hotter. Stay locked in, we've got more on the way.